All right, welcome everyone. Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Orb on the Movements of the Earth, episode 23. So,
that.
Your whole life's been a lie.
Yeah. Your entire job, mission, career, profession,
Yep.
or what have you was propagated and set out on someone's whim.
It was a whoopsie.
And you just have to live with that, Novak.
Yep.
All those people that you killed were not being killed because they were a threat to the church or that they were actually a heretic or someone who was spouting something that was going to be and make them an enemy of God.
Someone in the church just didn't like what they had to say.
And this is great. This is all off of the back of Bishop Anthony being like, if you think about it rationally, because we don't really do that often, but I think that all of this might have been one person's grudge from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony would know all about grudges.
Yeah. This reminds me of that really great part from Winnie the Pooh. And Piglet's like, Pooh, I was thinking, and then Pooh goes, "That's a very good habit, Piglet." And it's like, yes, Anthony, thinking, that's a good habit. You should do that, in a way that benefits other people.
Well, when he is financially profiting 80-20, he's going to benefit.
He's going to start thinking a lot all of a sudden, He's like, wait a minute, I've been a rational thinker all this time.
I'm such a humanitarian.
Oh man, I thinking about the people, and this is what the people want.
I've always put others first,
Yes. How do you do, fellow heliocentrismers?
God, I love it, and I hate it, and I love it.
I don't want him to get away with this, but he's about to.
I would love it if Novak kills him, but the thing is, then I feel like he'd kill Draka, so I'm worried about that.
Yeah, I if anything, want the book to be published. I want the church to turn on that sect of the church and have the church collapse in the midst of the, civil war.
All right, I've got a theory. So, book gets published, all that stuff. What's the big narrative thing that still needs to happen? Anthony has to get to justice for Yolenta and all that stuff.
No, if anything, we just need to see humanity realize the heliocentrism thing.
Yes, no, absolutely. Yes, that's the main thing, right?
Yeah.
But what if then Draka realized, this is an under the table dealing. If I help something happen to then make, if she ends up, no, she wouldn't know that he did any of this. No, never mind. I was just thinking if he got removed out of the picture, then she'd make more money.
You gotta think about what the people actually want here, what the characters want. So, yeah. I'm interested to see, what do you want out of this, Novak? So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Yeah.
How could you?
Oh? What's that? Yeah. Oh, yes, let's talk about this, yes. Oh, you can hear the pain in his voice. That's okay. Yeah, wandering's fine. Oh. The leader, yeah. It's time for her to talk, yeah. Nice. Whoa. Yeah.
Oh, getting within reach. Might not be a good idea.
Wow.
Holy shit. The stones.
I'm ready to burn the whole church.
Oh my god.
That's why he has the torch here.
He'll go out just like his daughter.
Oh my gosh.
Holy shit.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, now he has to find out about Yolenta.
Yeah.
Wow.
The music change.
Shit.
Well. Oh! Oh! Oh!
Whoa!
Yeah, just jump through the flames! Yeah. He'll never know. He'll never know. It works either way, even if she doesn't. What? Oh, whoa. Whoa.
And we did see Rafal in the OP in a room.
In the burning, burning room, yeah.
Oh my god.
So it's like as he dies, he starts to like, oh, this is gonna be cool.
Fantastic. One of the knights could have survived.
Yeah. All this time!
It was right there.
Comrades. Oh. Yeah, what am I seeing right now? Yeah. The fire growing. Yeah, I don't know, that's really my fault, you know. He almost like was mock laughing, like in like pain with that. Huh. Yeah. All this time. Uh-huh.
Wow. It's so rational.
Uh-huh. Wow. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
What decisions will you make?
True. True.
Beautiful.
This is Yolenta's, and this is his thoughts. In a lot of ways, this came about. You're trying to reassure yourself right now. Yeah. Yeah.
I love the unnerving way his eyes are always open and wide like that. What was that?
痛みだ。あの時君の選択を見て気の毒に思った。
そうですか。僕の考えとは違いますね。あ、だからこそ覚えておきますよ。
あれは神から与えられた最初で最後の機会だったのかもしれない。
Whoa.
でもその感情をめんどくさがって。
They were a nuisance on the villain. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The adjusting, even though being a...
私の娘は天国に行けたのか。
さあ。でも、そうなってほしいなら、あなたがまだ生きてるうちにすべきだと思うことをしてください。では、さようなら。
Beautiful.
Do what's appropriate.
Oh.
And he doesn't even know.
Uh-huh.
But it fits so perfectly.
Yeah.
So it is. So he does know. So he does know. Like.
That's...
Oh.
Yeah.
Of all the ways for him to find out.
Fuck.
Oh. Oh, beautiful. Oh, the themes, the symbolism, the...
Yeah. All right. Together in death.
Beautiful.
Holy shit.
The opening even looked like a cross up at the door as it was falling apart, so it cast light on him like a cross. Oh no!
Bleeding bad, girl.
That's a bad, bad wound.
Guess it's a good thing she had the manuscript.
Well, yeah,
Not just
they
from memory.
printed it out already. So.
Right.
Yeah, you're dying. Yep, one sunrise. No, a collection of sunrises. That's what it was. That's what it was worth. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, she wasn't scared.
No.
All right, so.
Okay. We're going ahead.
Mm-hmm.
This is our new character. Albert. Okay. Whoa! Whoa!
Okay. Okay.
Cool, he's like a mathematician, like...
Yeah. Wow!
What? What? Yeah, what is... What? Interesting.
Long ago, Albert.
Wait. Wait, is he like a survivor of, like, some church stuff?
Maybe?
Wait.
Hang on.
Wait.
Is this a new character, or have we met them before?
I'm like thinking, who had the astrolabe?
Holy shit! I thought last episode was good.
Wow. We went from peak to peak.
Yeah.
Now, I am not going to spend any of the discussion theorizing about the next episode.
Nope.
I am just entirely going to enjoy the beautiful art that we had with Novak and Draka and Antony's passings here. All three of them dying in different ways.
I'm really glad that Novak killed Antony. That was very satisfying.
It was very much something that would make sense based on Novak's character.
Yep.
It was something though that I liked in some ways that by him realizing that he had to do this, it counteracted the aspect of him that I was talking about in the previous episode's discussion about how he's not a man of violence.
Right.
And that he's not, but on some days he is.
Yeah, it's the thing that, and this, it's like poetry. It rhymes. Like they set up the stuff and the themes and the things that are going to be brought up in the next episode, and know, hey, you can pick up on it from stuff before. But the idea that, you
human beings can have all these things in them at the same time.
Exactly.
It's so reductive to basically say, you're the man of violence, so you would never do this. It's like, well...
Like in the same way that it's
everything lined up just enough to where, no, he would just choose violence and kill everybody here.
Right. In the same way that there's the whole idea, of redemption, right? Just because you do something bad one time doesn't make you a terrible person, right? Just because you do a whole bunch of good things don't make you a good person.
Yep.
And Novak, in those times when you weren't being a good dad, you were a monster.
You were the villain of this story.
You were the villain of this story.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And then the idea that then our villain comes to the place of his faith, realizing that everything he had been doing for the faith was a lie, begs, not for his forgiveness, but for his daughter's. The idea that he then had the arm because he suspected, and then he took the glove and he put it on the hand to make him realize that it fit just perfectly. And even holding the rigor mortis hand in the glove reminded him of what it felt to hold his daughter's hand, and that he knew.
And what I love about this, there's so many things that I love about this. One, excellent job baiting us with all the times that he could have found out and didn't, right? Because it's the, come on, it's right there, which then builds up the... He thought he saw her for a second, right?
Even if he suspected.
Yeah, even if
suspected.
Even if there would be that bit of him that's like, no, I'm seeing her everywhere. There would be that part of him as time went on where he's like,
well,
but what if it?
Yeah.
What if it was?
And even if it was his delusion that it might have been her that had him keep a hold of the arm.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is wild, to say the least. This man is so broken. He held on to a corpse's arm.
Yeah. He full on
all this
went
time.
like Yoshikage Kira. And also to the point that another little detail I love, that the gloves they didn't fit her when she was a kid, but they did fit her by the time that we ended up seeing her. Yeah, never mind. I was going to say that's just more of the way in which it haunts him, and it's more a thing of belief in the conclusion.
Yes,
less like concrete evidence.
There is not a total certainty,
right?
Because you can never have total certainty with these kinds of things. But it was enough to basically give him the
right.
Okay.
And the acknowledgement of that, right? That the thing that he should have been doing this whole time, that any one of these people that you're torturing could be your daughter, right? That they have family that care about them, all of that, right? And he either never thought about it or it never stopped him, right?
He thought about it once, and that was for Rafal.
Yeah.
He felt the pain, and he's like, I shouldn't feel this for you.
Right.
But you're too young for this.
Yeah.
Even if they're your beliefs. Like, regardless, that was his moment. And the idea that he realizes, wow, if I believe in God, then that was God's moment reaching out to me, giving me this emotion.
Yep.
But I put it away because it was
inconvenient. Yep.
It was distracting.
Yep. And so I fucking love it. It's great. Like having, like we've said before, I feel like it doesn't happen often that you'll get antagonists in fiction that are people of faith that are like actually people of faith, oftentimes it'll be the people like Anthony, right? Anthony is a proper scumbag. I love to hate him, right?
Yes.
And it was very satisfying to see him die, right? But when you have something like this, where it's the, oh no, you know, he's the paladin that went down a very dark path, right? You know, and and he fully believed, he had the conviction, he had the faith, right? That's that, you know, the stronger the belief, the more that belief can be undone by the narrative, right? Because it's not enough to just have the antagonist or the villain die. It's to, you know, have the thing that they posited, right? Their way that the, you know, way of thinking and the way that the world should be to be shown for its flaws.
Yeah,
right?
then they abandon it.
Yep.
And even if it's in his last moments or what have you, it's fucking beautiful to see. It's tragic, but it's fucking beautiful to see people on their deathbed or on their final moments realize how simple everything was and that they overcomplicated things. I don't know what it is, but I've never really had the existential fear of death.
Okay.
Like, I would be scared of dying.
Sure.
Like
survival instincts and all that.
I have survival instincts, yeah.
Right.
But I feel in a lot of ways that whenever a story handles the subject matter of death and in the final moments, I can suspend my disbelief that it's obviously it's fiction, so I don't feel the, oh, I would hate to be in that situation, so I empathetically I want to disconnect from it. I don't know if that's even the right way to describe it, but basically I find it beautiful. I find it amazing to know what fiction writers end up thinking goes on in the heads of those that know that they're about to die. And there's something so powerful about seeing a character, because I do feel like this is a pretty universal human experience, that as they realize that their time is almost up, that things were way simpler than they ever could have let themselves believe. And it's so sad, it's so powerfully emotional and tragic to see this happen when it's a character that had done so much fucked up stuff. Because we loved Novak as a character because he had all this agency in the story.
Yeah, he had a presence to him that made us terrified and clench our butt cheeks.
He was one of our favorite voice actors. He had all these other little things that are the trappings of the character, but the actual character himself was the villain. He was the antagonist going around slaughtering our protagonist. And in some ways, we could feel the tragedy coming the more the story developed time for him.
Yes.
We met Yolenta. We're like, oh, they're just compounding it.
All right, here we go.
The story was promising us over the course of all this time that when Novak finally sees, it's going to be something magical. You won't know
Magical
for
and
sure.
Probably too late.
Yeah. We probably, both of us, hoped it would happen sooner than this.
Sure.
Every time that Yolenta's name might have come up. Those were all moments where we hoped maybe
that'll make him have a change of heart, and this is how the character will survive or something.
And no. And I love the way that this show handles these moments where they take us out of the physical for a bit of time and show the beautiful light and the moment in almost like a historical epic sense that the character
painting
says the line, and in that moment we're connected to humanity all of a sudden through this
humanity,
art.
God, the universe, everything, all of existence. Yeah.
And so to have that moment be for the villain's death, as they plead with anything and everything to just have their daughter's actions, their everything just be forgiven, what have you, redeemed. I love it. This was a spiritual moment, and
dying in the light of,
the church that he was actually undermining. You could get so many things just from the fact he's in the burning church that he's burning
he
himself.
literally set on fire. And the fact that it's fire, which has been his tool, of fear all this time. The fact that
it's the thing that he executed Rafal in. It's a burning pyre for the sense that he's been judged as basically been a heretic of the church, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
which
he was
is
the real
whole
heretic all along.
Well, and the whole thing that Anthony said, to like undermine him and get under his skin, right? The fact that the entrance, like even the physics of how they're like, okay, we're going to have this turn into a cross. It works so well because you've got the entrance. Cool. That's the lower base part of, the cross. Oh, some crossboard plank falls out.
What was the supporting part probably for the two beams that was the door here?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it extends out a bit.
Right, and so it pulls
that.
the part out of the wall that was right above it. Cool. And then, some of the stuff above that also,
Gravity.
Yeah, exactly, right?
It's convenient.
Cool. but no, it makes
it
sense.
Absolutely works.
And the fact
he
that
sees a sunrise where there was none, because this is obviously still at night and everything.
Right. But then also the fact that it's the entrance, like that also feels very like apropos.
Oh, yeah. You could get into it being the entrance. You could get into it being the idea that that's where the sun came from. So if it is actually during the day,
sure.
Don't worry, even after you've died, this light shines on you after you've died.
Yeah.
Because every human soul is precious, even the villains of their story,
exactly.
what have you.
Yeah. Well, Novak was an absolute scumbag that got what was coming to him. Good job. You did manage to learn, even if it took you till the very end, right?
You killed Draka though. Like,
oh, yeah.
in a lot of ways,
Oh, yeah.
I like that he is still the villain of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Draka dies because he would rather live in a world where heliocentrism continues to be persecuted.
Yes.
Because he doesn't want to face the facts that he died. He killed and murdered for nothing.
And that his daughter got caught up in it.
Right. And in some ways, the solidifying that is why he's the villain of the story.
Yes. Yeah,
Obviously,
well
he did all this stuff here, but he doubled down at the moment where he sees the betrayal of Antony again, because he's always hated this guy.
Sure.
But then also the fact that he's like, this guy's also kind of responsible for, no, he is. From his mind of like my daughter's death.
Yep.
And so, perfect.
Even though Antony did a good job of playing it off as, I tried to, I managed to, get her gloves for you.
Oh
right?
My gosh, yeah.
Like, and also, but the thing that you said of him, like the fact that he has this realization here means that he already kind of realized it, but was not willing to acknowledge it.
Right.
And that's where I think a very important thing to be brought up here, especially with how Novak's character ended, because he was the villain, is that there's different kinds of redemption in fiction.
Oh,
right?
Sure.
And there's redemption of like, hey, you've come around full circle to being an awesome person.
Yeah.
Versus like, hey, you made progress and realized what you did was wrong, but you're still a terrible person, right? Like, it's we made Novak very sympathetic here. He's still a monster. He's still the villain. He's still all of that stuff. And I really like how this show handled that with the fact that, yes, he kind of knew the whole time and he chose this, right?
Right.
Like that wasn't, the whole thing with
he did
Rafal,
not have to
that was
kill,
not the one opportunity that
he did
got.
not have to kill or stab Draka. Like,
right.
That was actually his own
just bitterness and hatred.
Well, it was his own
fear.
It was his own doubt, I would say, in the capacity of the effort he did to set up this narrative.
Sure.
Would actually work.
Right.
And what's fun about that is that this is the guy who has successfully hunted down so many people with heliocentrism being their thing. And so every time he's done this, though, it keeps rearing back up its head.
Yep.
So you could also say from his perspective, he's basically saying, no more hiding behind the church and doing this. I'm doing this myself. I will be God here. I will make sure. And even though I say, you might survive this and get out of this and all that, it's fine. Nah, he didn't even believe that. He's like, no, I gotta be sure. I gotta be sure. And it's like, yep. He double, tripled down that he was the villain here. So I want to go into just the fantastic idea to have Rafal speak to him, though.
Oh yeah, I love
in
me
his
some
final moments.
I love me some characters talking to someone else that's not there, you know, in their final moments or whatever.
Oh yeah,
like that's good shit. You know,
that's why we do fiction. Things that don't make sense at all,
right,
in our world that you can use to get at some aspect of a character.
Right,
and it's like, you know what? I can suspend my disbelief just fine for this. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. Awesome.
You have the stage. Take it and run with it.
And it even makes sense that it would be Rafal specifically.
Oh, it absolutely makes sense.
And is narratively satisfying because he's the first main character that we see. But then two, he is the one that
child.
He's the child, so he's the most direct parallel to Yolanta.
Yep.
He's also the one that that shook him up in the beginning.
The most,
And with the whole notion that we might have had a villain protagonist this whole time, you know, even though we had other perspective main characters and protagonists and all that stuff, since he was the one through line character, at least up until now, that feels very fitting. Like,
it's extremely fitting because basically Rafal himself, in this case here, in that moment, he empathized. He connected not just with the person of Rafal as like who he was and unique in the uniqueness of who he was, but in the generalization in the humanity of Rafal. And he saw, oh, you can have all these things. You can have every single confusing element that humans sometimes rely on in an extreme way to define themselves. And he's like, oh, right. I was the enemy of humanity. I wasn't just the enemy of my God or what have you. I wasn't just the enemy of, you know, these people here that I killed. I was the enemy of humanity.
Yeah.
And even still, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you were the enemy of humanity in a really fascinating way. And this is something that I love the idea that Draka like kind of goes, what was my life worth and what have you.
Yeah.
And in the moments where he's trying to effectively convince himself that like my life was worth something, right? He doesn't ask it here, but he uses Rafal to kind of convince himself that like, oh, but all these people, like we built this era together. Like we ended up doing this. We are like comrades. And there's something so flawed about that. The idea that he's like trying to insert himself as the final like part of the narrative here who helped, you know, build this era here. Like he's trying to seek his own form of understanding and
from the standpoint of the creator of the series, this is sort of them talking to the audience and being like, hey, here's a perspective that I have on, you know, on history and all that stuff. Right. And it's like, oh wow, you know, and that's profound and it's awesome. But then when you go into the element of no, Novak telling this to himself as a person after everything he's done. Oh yeah, that's sad.
It's really sad.
Like
it's really sad.
Yeah.
Because obviously, yes, right. The meta narrative is a part of this to acknowledge how all these things happened in such a way, in a connected way, and you can't independently separate them as villains or heroes or protagonists.
Right.
They have connections with each other that build the story of humanity.
Exactly.
And we cannot judge, if you will, the story of humanity as good or bad because of the number of good or bad people and this and stuff. It gets into some... We all just take part in what we build together.
We have less capability of actually discerning like or evaluating history. Even if we are from a very similar kind of walk of life to some of the people in history, than people in completely opposite walks of life that were at least in the same time period.
Right. There's the element that we can all potentially see that these people are all human.
Sure.
All human beings. different kind of cultures, worldviews, walks of life, relationships, education, yada yada, all still human. There's going to be things that will translate across time and space. There's human nature.
Right.
But looking back at all of this, realizing that despite, even so with you, Novak, this era that we're headed towards, that these characters are headed towards, came about because of you and in spite of you.
Right.
It's the beauty of realizing that your life has both no purpose in the empirical,
and all the purpose,
in the empirical, like, no, there is no, like, written, like, inscribed
canon timeline.
There's no, exactly. That is ego. That is ego. And it's okay.
Yeah.
You'll let go of that as you get older. if you I'm not talking to you, the person watching here, but like, that is something that we all let go of as we age, basically. And yet, you have infinite purpose. You have infinite value. In just as much that a sunrise has no value and has all the value potentially in the world.
And that's where, to bring it back to, like, you made some Vinland Saga comparisons with, stuff that's happened recently, but you have no enemies.
Yeah.
Right? Like, at the end of the day, what Novak needed was someone to tell him you have no enemies. And that, like, the fact that he decidedly chose that he did
at the very end.
Even to the very end, yeah.
At the very end. He tripled down. He's like, no, I like you to be my enemies.
Yeah.
I like the way that history remembers me better.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, you selfish,
short-sighted,
sad, pathetic bastard.
Bitter.
Like,
yeah.
It's so fascinating because
don't be Novak.
I totally understand the fuck you, Anthony. Like,
absolutely.
I am not going to head into that world, basically.
Yep.
And there is an element of him kind of in that desperate bit that he showed from the previous episode, that he's thinking, like, I can't imagine a civilization, a humanity that has rejected God. Like, won't we just wander? Won't we have no... And Draka just being like, yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll find
figure things out.
We'll find what we need within the wandering.
Yeah.
In some ways, you can't help but look when you wander. Or another way, when you wander, all you have is looking. And
one might even say that not all who wander are lost.
Right. I'm trying so hard to not say that specifically.
I know.
It's so great.
If the shoe fits, or the glove in this case.
You must have quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rafal,
beautiful. A.K.A. Novak, kind of gives him the,
reads him his rights, basically.
Yeah. Go, do what you think is appropriate.
And he makes the decision. He finally acknowledges it to himself.
Yeah. And the tears of an old man begging in whatever belief he has with regards to the afterlife and stuff. There is one. He takes I bear the responsibility for everything that could be considered a sin for my daughter. And then he looks up to the sky. And because the church is collapsing around him, themes, he sees the infinite expanse. And so it's beautiful.
You want to... So another thing that I just thought of just now.
Yeah.
With that shot of him looking up at the sky. So with geocentrism, there was the whole idea that Earth is the cesspit, right?
Yes.
And the heavens are up above. And he has spent his whole life defending that belief, that theology, philosophy, etc. And so at the end, as he realizes that he's the villain in the story, he is looking up from the burning
pits of hell
to heaven. Right. While he's begging God to let his daughter be up there.
The themes are on fire. They are literally on fire. It is incredibly poignant and powerful.
Oh, yeah.
I think this whole scene, not this scene, but just everything set once Novak enters the church, you could write massive essays just about this.
Oh, yeah. And the way that it's such a perfect capitulation of everything that's come before in the show and all that. And yet, we've got new stuff.
And yet we get stabbed in the freaking liver and have to like slowly bleed out with Draka.
Yep.
Watching her die slowly, realizing, wait, what was all that worth? What was it all? I'm lost. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, the sun rises.
Yep.
I'm not that lost. And it takes her back to being a young child.
Yeah.
And she passes. Far too young. with her wild dreams and silly ambitions, but with a message passed on. Maybe.
And now we've got
this strange Albert with his very like semi-familiar looking ass face.
Right, but he can also totally be a new character.
And his astrolabe, which I'm gonna go back through the season and look. I swear there was an astrolabe somewhere in the mix here.
Well, so there's a part of me that wonders.
What has he inherited?
What if it was Yolenta's astrolabe?
That's the thing. I don't remember.
Them,
I'm trying to remember, and I feel so stupid because I feel like I should.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. And also, I could be wrong about this, but I feel like the names of the countries that have been brought up in the show up until now have always been that kind of like, is it actually Earth, or is it like, a slight parallel where everything's very similar, but not necessarily, for like creative interpretation and all that stuff. But then we actually get it. Poland. Oh, all right.
I'm pretty sure they have done like a couple times showing that it's actually Poland. Yeah.
Not like slight like letter changes of like other countries or things
like
that.
Well, they did at one point be like, it might have just been a subtitle been missing, but I think it said like the Kingdom of P or something. I always thought, that's Poland. Like I'm pretty sure that's Poland. Or it might have just been that they literally did the subtitles and forgot to.
Sure, but either if it isn't that, I find that also rather fitting in that kind of like.
Now we're getting into the historical canon.
Yeah, exactly. Like at the end of Lord of the Rings, all right, the elves, leave and all that stuff, and then yada yada, all that.
If we are beginning with the polymath, we end the season with the polymath. I'm excited to see who this guy ends up being, because he might be again another name lost to history.
Yep.
Never to know.
Although I will say, if we want to get into actual historical figures, that would be also fitting here, because Anthony had the whole thing of you and all those people that you killed. History will not know who they were. They will not remember those names.
Right. That's why this is fiction.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can do that.
Right.
Because it's likely that the church killed many people.
Was it this story? No, absolutely not. Was it a story like this? Probably.
Very probably. It's it's not like exactly like this, but obviously.
But so if they wanted to go into actual like named historical characters at this point, I think that that'd be the perfect time to do it.
Yeah. But even so, episode
great
23.
Show.
2 more episodes left.
Yeah, 2 more episodes. Is this just the victory lap? Like what conflict do you have for the final 2 episodes?
Albert said that no, human curiosity is like wrong.
Yeah.
I am very fascinated about I am a well-read and very intelligent, like math, numbers person.
Smart person.
Yeah. But I specifically find curiosity, like the exploration beyond the known.
Which I get that. To
be scary.
As a person who is very curious, I am also very competitive, and it may or may not be a problem. So I feel you, my guy.
Yes, curiosity can take you away from collaboration, but that's a very rough stretch, I would say.
Right.
I think that it's more that he's a survivor of something.
Yep.
and he does not want to go back to potentially the whole. Like I think he's gonna be like a church guy. He was somebody
Sure.
that was probably like a church guy of some kind.
Yeah, there was a part of me that was wondering, like, wait, did we, answer, like, did we figure out who all the other two, like, Inquisitors were? I'm like, no, that's, the thing is, all that kind of stuff was so long ago that I'm like, I feel like he almost has to be a new character. That might be he might be like a descendant or something of someone else.
Yeah, that's my point. I think he's most likely a new character, but it's more that he either wasn't focused on because, like, it wasn't important, but he could be also somebody's descendant. So we'll just see. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon and get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general. And also be sure to check out our Twitch channel. So if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.